Coming up on this episode of the Talking Mac Podcast, we're going behind the glitz and the glamour and the big money maker that is Mac OS X Leopard. Hey, guess what? We're going into the dock today. On this episode of the Talking Mac Podcast, we're diving into the origins of the dock, one of the most useful parts of the Macintosh operating system. Stay tuned, you will not want to miss it. Hello everybody and welcome to the Talking Mac Podcast. Guess what? The dock is an amazing integral part of the Macintosh operating system. But guess what? We're going to tell you where it came from. Where it comes from. We're going to dive into the origins of the dock. Now on the Mac, the dock is it first appeared to the public in the beta preview of Mac OS X released in late 2000, which debuted the new Aqua interface. However, the ideas behind the dock were not all new. In 1987, Apple's English counterpart, Acorn Computers, released its Mac-like RISC-OS with a desktop operating system featuring an icon bar. The strip on the lower edge of the screen displayed icons for drives and running applications, and by the early 90s, the icon bar displayed icons for RAM disk, printers, applications, and system utilities. Now, this is going to be an enhanced podcast, so I'm going to have pictures of every instance here that I'm going to be talking about, just about. So when I tell you to look on your screen, go ahead and flick back to that tab and look at what I'm going to talk about. Okay, look at the screen. Right here you see the RISC-OS icon bar. You can see an arrow pointing to it at the bottom and arrows pointing upwards at every little application running down there in the icon bar. So that's the RISC-OS icon bar. Alright, in 1988, however, Steve Jobs' NeXT began demonstrating the new desktop of NeXTSTEP, the NeXT operating system, which includes the NeXT Dock. NeXT Dock was a series of block icons, each of which could animate and update. Icons in the dock could represent running applications or apps ready to be launched. The icons of the running apps were tagged with an ellipsis to differentiate them, as in Digital Librarian icon, the forefront and top. In the desktop image that is on your screen right now, go ahead and look. You'll see arrows pointing to the NeXT Dock, and that's capital N, lowercase e, capital X, capital T dock. You see the arrows pointing there? That's the NeXT Dock on your screen. Now, in the early 1990s, Apple introduced the Newton Message Pad running the Newton OS, which similarly used a button bar as a launcher. The Newton's button bar demonstrated the significant resources Apple invested into reducing the amount of clicking to pull up common tasks on the Newton. Other items could be dragged into the button bar from a collection of extras, similar to the row of action icons on the iPhone's more edit configure screen within the iPod selection. Look on your screen now, you'll see the Newton operating system, you see the button bar. All the icons at the top, you see a arrow pointing to the top, showing you all the icons that you could put right in the button bar. And I think the arrow's covering the button bar, but you can see the button bar there. Yeah, the arrow is covering the button bar, but you can see it right under there. It's like a little dock there. Now let's talk about dock substitutes in the classic Macintosh operating system. The Newton's button bar never made it into the classic Mac OS, then called System 7. Instead, Apple rounded up various shareware tools and incorporated them into the Mac desktop throughout the 1990s. Oddly, there was never any way to tell at a glance which apps were actively running on the classic Mac. An obvious need solved by the NeXT Dock years before the Mac OS was even routinely running multiple applications at once. Instead, the classic Mac OS used an icon in the top right to indicate the current running app, which would drop down a menu of other running apps. This application menu also served as a way to select between running apps, and it was not an app launcher. On the screen now, go ahead and look, you'll see the Mac OS 7 desktop, and you'll see two arrows pointing. You'll see the dock replacement at the bottom. You see the biggest arrow on your screen right now is pointing at the bottom. That's the dock replacement. Now, if you look up at the top right corner at that arrow that's sort of slanted over, pointing up there, you'll see where it says Finder, and that's the window that is open. So it's not quite an app launcher, but it'll tell you which window was open, and you see that right there on your screen. Alright, now there was a separate launcher in Mac OS 8. You can look at your screen right now. The Mac OS 8 launcher provided an editable list of programs grouped by sections. On your screen you see the Mac OS 8 launcher right now. Macintosh Operating System 8 launcher, where you could add your own list of programs in there. Let's talk about the return of the dock. In 2001, Mac OS X did away with any previous overlapping conventions of the classic Macintosh operating system to deliver a single, simple mechanism for launching apps, storing minimized open windows out of the way, and providing fast access to files and folders. It took its name from Next Dock. They took the dock part, right? Yeah, not the next. Not the next, just the dock, okay? But added new functionality by combining the Next Dock with the Next Shelf. Rather than having a limited amount of shelf space within Finder windows, the dock gave users an obvious location for dropping anything: apps, files, folders, and even open windows. Like the Next Dock, currently running applications in the Mac OS X dock were tagged with the live indicator, but with a black triangle instead of an ellipsis, and could be badged by running applications such as Mail and iChat get red badge numbers by indicating new messages. Successive versions of the dock introduce dockling menus, which allow users to access functions of apps in the dock from a pop-up menu. For example, iTunes dock icon allows users to skip to the next song, and iChat's dock icon lets users set their online status. Go ahead and look at your screen now. You'll see the Mac OS 10.0 through 10.1 dock, and below it you'll see the Mac OS 10.2 through 10.4 dock. That's Jaguar, Panther, and Tiger, if I'm not mistaken. Guess what? I am so into this right now. I need 30 seconds to clear my head to get myself together. So we have a nice musical selection coming up. A 30-second song. We'll be right back to the Talking Mac Podcast. Hello, welcome back to the Talking Mac Podcast. I hope you enjoyed that little breather to catch your breath. I've been throwing a lot of information at you, but this is the last of our information. Let's talk about the new dock and Mac OS X Leopard, which is due to be released this week, at the end of this week. 6 p.m. Friday, October 26th. Now, it's therefore notable. Here, look at your screen. You'll see the new Mac OS X Leopard dock. Now, it's noticeable that the dock sports an entirely new appearance, which now presents icons as three-dimensional objects sitting on a translucent glass shelf, rather than flat objects stuck in translucent ribbon of icon flypaper. Now, if you remember, if you go back, and if you're in a Mac right now, if you're in Tiger, you know that you see that it's just a little strip with stuff on it. Well, now, looking at your screen right now, looking at the video screen, you'll see the Leopard dock, and the dock icons cast reflections on the dock, as well do other windows on the screen, and even background image, as well as casting shadows behind them. The combination of reflection and the shadow contribute to that dimensional appearance. Now, some of these icons that have multiple things behind them cast multiple reflections, which some people say look phony, and also, I must say, when you take that dock and you fling it up on the sides, it looks like people complain that the icons look like they're just hanging off by nothing off the dock. So it looks a little weird on the left and right hand side if you use your dock that way, which I don't. So we hope you enjoyed this episode, Origins of the Dock. Hey, guess what? Next week we're going to be diving into more Origins of the Dock. We're going to be talking about the Finder. We're going into the origins of the Finder. We're bringing it back to life so you know how to use it, what it was made for, and where it came from. We'll see you next time. Have a wonderful day.